Los Angeles Brazilian Film Festival 2020 competition. And I have Kevin Alejandro, Leslie, and
Romeo.
Romeo. Look at that. It's such a cute family. It's missing someone else there, isn't it?
Oh, I know. He's out with his friends.
He's too old
cool
now.
for us now.
He doesn't think we're cool, so he goes and rides his bicycle with all of his friends.
First of all, I love fashion, and I like how you guys coordinated the whole outfit situation with the logo in the back, the black and white, fancy and chic. I feel like you guys are in the Oscars, but Brazilian Oscar. How about that?
Is it LABRFF Oscar worthy?
LABRFF, Los Angeles Brazilian Film Festival.
Yes, exactly.
This is just how much we respect what you guys are doing. Like, we want to make sure
Amazing.
that you guys are producing something that's at a high level, and we're honored to be surrounded by great filmmakers. We want to represent how you guys make us feel. So this is for you.
Wow, this is really amazing. Thank you so much. We feel honored, first of all, to have you guys at our festival with Adult Night, with a short movie, and it talks about us. I can say that because when Kevin was at the red carpet with us on Wednesday, we did talk very quickly about the movie, and I said, hey, I can relate to that situation. We always our adult night when we just have a baby, when we have a family going on. And the story for me, it's like very similar with my story. So first of all, we want to thank you for being here. I know you guys just had an amazing panel, right? It was 2 hours of great conversation where people participated. Wow. And you guys share this amazing job. And I'm even more happy that you guys have, energy to do this with me right after.
We love it, man. We not because we're vain, but we love to talk. We love to talk about what we do because we love what we do. We love to tell stories, and we love to communicate with the people who understand what we do. And I really feel like through the conversations that we've had today, and the conversation that we're having with you right now, that we understand each other. And if there's any sort of way for us to inspire or just to share our journey, to keep no secrets, to let you know that whatever you want in life is possible, I will be here until the end of the night.
And that's the cool thing about you guys. You are in Hollywood, you are on the top of the list, but you still care about people. And that's really amazing. We appreciate that. So let's talk about Adult Night. What's the idea? What was the idea to put your film inside Brazil right now? Because you guys are inside Brazil at Los Angeles Brazilian Film Festival.
It's a true sort of serendipitous discovery. We know that I'm certain that a lot of you know that I'm on a show called Lucifer. I'm an actor.
Yes, absolutely.
And we understand that Brazil is a huge follower of what we do.
Definitely.
And they have much respect for the show that we're providing. And when this came across, when LABRFF came to our attention, we were all on pins and needles saying, like, how do we get in? How do we submit? We would love to be part of this, and Leslie and Danny took the reins on that and reached out with whoever they needed to reach out to. And luckily we're here today.
And Leslie, let's talk about you writing. And did you write the story with Kevin?
Actually, no.
You guys actually, no, sorry, let me correct this. You directed with Kevin,
yes,
right?
Yes. It was written by our friend Derek Ray, and we actually took the story and directed it together.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And how was the experiencing of directing with Kevin? I mean, it has been, it's hey, people say, it must be difficult to direct with the husband, you guys are too close, but some people have good experiences. How was for you two? I mean, you got to tell me the truth.
Truth is what you'll have. Kevin had spoke earlier about understanding our strengths and leaning into those strengths. And I think we definitely did that here. Kevin is so great as an actor, obviously. So directing actors is his forte. I think it's... can't say anything here.
Does he do that when he's directing? Like breaking your concentration?
Always. I'm
Always,
always breaking
especially because he was running around the room with assless chaps. So
I had the leather pants with no butt. She was like,
so all
I think
everywhere.
it would be so fun to be directed by you too, because I feel this chemistry going on, and it's just enjoyable just to watch you guys, relationship going
Doing
on,
our
even in
thing.
your interview.
We try.
you,
We
thank
try.
you.
No.
thank you. We're lucky. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's not just luck. It's work. We work to be communicative, to understand what the other person needs, and if we don't quite understand it, then we try not to hesitate to ask. Of like, here's where I'm at. Here's what I'm feeling. How can we make this right? Because from the very beginning of our relationship, the communication was always the most important thing to us. Even when we had a baby and we found out we were going to have our son, it was a happy surprise. We always tell him that.
Yes, I have that
You're-
same happy
You're a
surprise.
happy surprise. It was a lot for us because it was us for so long, and now there's three, and so from the beginning we were like, okay, baby's going to come into our life. The love for baby is going to be inevitable. We have to always make sure that number one and number two come first.
Oh, am I number one?
You're always number one.
Okay.
Oh, oh my Lord. You guys are too much.
No,
So-
that we come first because he's coming into our life, right? We're gonna love him inevitably, but a lot of times, the baby has so much energy or so much of a personality that it's jarring for a couple, and they forget to have date night. They forget to talk to each other. They forget to tell them that they love each other. And we said we will never be that person. And even when we're angry at each other, we have to be that person at the end of the night that says, "I love you."
We're not allowed to go to bed.
Maybe you guys can start a tutorial on how to teach people how to be a good couple. How about that?
I don't know about that.
that.
We can teach you how to be like what works for us. I don't know if it doesn't work for everybody.
There you go.
It
That works for me.
It's true.
And I think because we have that communication and that relationship,
Communication is
when it comes to
everything.
working with each other, we understand each other's sensibilities and sensitivities, and we know. Well, not only do we know, we're beginning to know even more how to communicate at the right level, and to understand how to sort of navigate our conversation.
I mean, and regardless, we want each other to succeed, and we want to succeed together. So I think that's an important aspect of how we went into this as far as directing as well. So, like I said earlier, leaning into our strengths and supporting those strengths is just as important as well. So that's kind of how we did it, and it's fun. It's fun. We know that we have Los Alejandros together, that when we do things together, we're Los Alejandros. But at the same time, because I think we are also very passionate and confident in what we do on our own, that really helps us bring those strengths into our work together.
Mm-hmm.
So with this project, do you get to boss him around, or he gets to boss you around?
Oh,
Number one, I never get to boss her around. because if I do, she's like.
And I will tell you, you want honesty.
Go Leslie, go Leslie, go Leslie.
Transparency, you want truth. Kevin obviously has confidence in the film industry because he's been doing it for so long. He's been on hundreds of sets, thousands of days worth of hundreds of sets of different things that he's done. So his confidence in filmmaking is there. On the other hand, I'm confident in what I see, what I know, what I want to do. And so, he definitely steps up and says, this is what I think should happen because of the experience that he has. And I'll either say yes about it, or if I don't like it, I'm very confident when saying that's not what I like. That's not how I want to do it. So, and to respect those boundaries with both of us being that, kind of saying those actual things is how it works. So there's not really a bossing around, but there's definitely this is how I think it should be, and there's this is what I don't agree with. And as long as we have, we see each other at those levels and respect those kind of that kind of communication, then we're able to.
And it's also trying to discover within those moments too, like when she says, no, I don't like this, and I'll say, yeah, but I like this. Where do we meet then? If it's not going to be my way or it's not going to be your way, which way is it going to be? So
the compromise.
How do we get in the middle then? Because we have a bunch of people waiting for us to make a decision.
Yeah. I luckily I don't feel like it actually happened that way, because I think, we
and I'm in charge. No, I'm kidding.
I'm like, sure you are. No, I was kidding.
So, by the way, Adult Night, is this a little story about what you guys have going on? Like, okay, you have a kid, it was just the two of you, all of a sudden you had that little amazing accident going on, and then you see yourself like, oh my God, we don't have that time for the two of us anymore because the baby's there and the kid is growing. So we gotta, how do we party? How do we navigate to that subject? Is that a little story behind you too?
First of all, this is a true story. That was me and Leslie.
No, it's
I'm kidding.
Okay.
Before people start writing about this.
It's gonna be like, oh my God, it's a true story.
There's no way Kevin would be okay to be in a room.
I'm Latino. There is nobody sharing my girl.
There's no way. I'm laughing about it. But yes, the actual understanding of two people trying to, rekindle romance, trying to find their way back into, and who used to be big partiers. I mean, that was actual truth. Big partiers that we were in. And trying to figure out, can we party again? And so we connected with those characters very well. Not necessarily the situation, but we connected with the change. We connected what they were actually going.
I think a lot of couples, at least the ones that we've talked to, throughout our lives, we all go through that change, right? We are a certain person before we have a baby. We have a certain sort of way of living, and so. And I think, in some aspect, we don't lose who we are, but we've changed. We change according to the way we're supposed to change, right? And within that, you question yourself of like, is there still that fire in me? Is there still that adventure? I've been changing diapers. I've been going to mommy play dates. I've been doing this for so long. Let's find that adventure again. And so, one of the things that we related to is because we did relate to that, because she was right. We did party. We did have great friends. We were known as that social couple. Like when we go out, you're going to have a great time that night, and then baby showed up and we were disappeared for a little bit. So we, I think one of the things we related to was like trying to find that spark. And I think a lot of couples might go through that as well.
Got it. And so I can let Leslie go. I know she just told me in the back and behind the scenes that she has some editing to do, right?
I do.
But let me hold you just for one more second. Are you pretty happy with how this the final cut ended up? Like, this is how you wanted the film? Do you have any plans to, okay, hey babe, let's direct like along together, like another movie together, or do you want to go in a route of directing your own movies? How do you feel about that? I love this product. I want to keep doing together and things like that.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I think we are collectively, even as a production company, we want what we had created to be something bigger. As far as Los Alejandros as a directing team, we 100% want to do more things together, and direct other projects together. As an individual, and again, transparency, to be transparent, I want to do things on my own to create my own name. Everybody loves this guy, and he 100% earned it and worked for it, and and deserves it all. But I definitely have to. I feel that I have to show who I am too as an individual, so that when you see us together, that. There's definitely a true, collaboration that's in there, so that people can see and notice both of our voices in there too. So, yeah, I'd like to do. I'm in the, I'm doing things on my own as well, as hoping to be able to do something again with him. So.
Wonderful, Leslie. I thank you very much for being part of this interview.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. This was so much fun. I'll see you guys soon. Take it away. Bye, guys.
I have no more questions for Kevin. I know he said he can stay a little longer.
For those who don't know, Leslie just directed 2 music videos. I think we talked a little bit about it in our interview earlier. but she has to run off now because her editor is coming over. And
some editing, right?
yeah, they're gonna edit, and I can't wait for you guys to see what they've created because it's amazing.
So Kevin, to look better on the interview, let's maybe get rid of the chair. So we're always going to be waiting for someone to sit there, and maybe you come a little closer.
Come a little closer. Don't be scared.
A little closer. Don't get anything. So okay, so we'll talk about Brazil. We'll talk about Lucifer. How did you ended up directing a TV show that you actually acting? Because like people say, hey, it's a long way for you to direct something that big, right? And then all of a sudden, like you doing this amazing character, everybody loves you. Brazilians are crazy Kevin, woo, love you. And then you are well known for all these other shows that you have done before. We're talking about Lucifer because of the connection with Brazil, and because also you got to direct few episodes, right?
Yeah.
Or few seasons. But tell me, like, how did you end up? Were you invited? How does it work in this world?
That's a great question, Giselle. And it's a process. It's when you are on a show. First of all, I'm very lucky to be part of a show that people love to watch. It's not very often that you get to be part of a production that lasts longer than 3 seasons. And now we're at 6, and that's because of the love that Brazil have shown. And every one of our fans have stuck together to save us from being canceled, to save us from being, put on, just to save us. And that's a testament to the type of love and respect that our writers and our creators put into the show that you guys love. So when you're on something like that, there's a certain level of expectancy. And I got lucky because I have shown interest in directing from the first moment that I was on that set. I've always loved it. And then, so it was a slow process. They're like, okay, so you enjoy what it is. You can shadow some directors, which means pretty much following around a director from day one to the last day of edit. And it's just shutting up, being his shadow, watching him or her do what she does, and learn the process that way. And I have 2 favorite directors of all the seasons, which is Nathan Hope. Yes, Nathan Hope and Karen Gaviola. And there were both of them were our producing directors for 2 different seasons in the very beginning of our show. And with that, my interest grew even more. And then I had to get approved to go into the Warner Brothers Directors Program. I'm telling you, it was a big process.
Wow, okay.
Walk in and say, hey, I want to direct and get an episode. At least I couldn't. I'd never done it before. I'd only done little short films that I shot on a little video camera or on my on my phone. That was all the experience I had at that level. But I sent those in to get approved to go to Warner Brothers, and they saw potential. And I went through a whole course of how to direct network television.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I was with them all summer. Go ahead.
Is it a little weird that the people that are used to star with you then had to be in a position where you get to tell them what to do?
I think, yeah, of course. If anybody knows anything about our show, we're jokesters. Like we're cracking jokes, we're pulling pranks, we're trying to trick each other all the time.
Very sarcastic humor.
Yes, very sarcastic humor. And especially Lauren German, who plays Detective Decker, Chloe Decker, who plays my ex-wife in it. Anyways, I love her. She's like one of my favorite people on the show. Every time I would tell her to do something, she'd be like, shut the fuck up, Kevin. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm sorry. Is Kevin talking to me right now? I can't.
Kevin actor, Kevin director.
Yeah. So they all like kind of did that to me a little bit, but it was all in good fun. At the end of the day, though, everybody had my back. They all knew that this was something that was truly passionate, that I'm truly passionate about, that was important, and that I didn't want to fail in it. And I got lucky that the group of people that I did it with were my family outside of my family, which you don't often get on shows, and every single one of them had my back. made it that experience of like, if I can't do it alone, you can rely on me. That we'll do it together.
That was a TV show, but then is it a little different to be directing a movie? Because like you just did that, the one that we're talking about right now, Adult Now, and then we're talking about like a Hollywood production with something that's going on for a while, which is all these big people that's going on for a long time, and then you were there, and then you direct that show, and then you went and did your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Was it really different to direct a TV show, a well-known TV show for a big studio, and then start doing your own thing?
It is
in a film, which is different.
It is very different. It is very different, but it's also very similar. The difference is that in television, the writers and the producers really have
Power.
They have power, but they also have the answers, right? Like, so if I had a question as a director of like, oh, I don't know what this means or what you're intending, and I don't have an idea about it, you can reach out to them and say, what is this? What was your intention? And they'll tell you. And you have to fit. The show has its style, so you have to fit into that style and make sure that what you want to create fits into the world that they've already made for you. When you go off and do your own thing, you're creating the world. You're setting the tone. You have to have you're in charge of creating this entire thing. So that's a difference. But the similarity is, even though you have millions of dollars to shoot an episode of television and you have $100 to shoot a short film, it's just like independent filmmaking in the fact that you have no time. You have very little time. You only have 8 days to shoot one episode of TV. Sounds like a lot, but it's not, especially if you're shooting an hour worth of content. Same thing with independent films. You have like 1 or 2 days, 3 days, 4 days to shoot it, and very little prep. So independent filmmaking actually prepped me for the amount of time that you have to prep for a big budget television show and the few amount of days. Yeah. It's like shooting an independent film each episode. But I felt like I was prepared for it because of things like Adult Night, Bedtime Story, like all these other short films that I've done.
Wonderful. And for you, I mean, those questions, it's not so related to LABRFF, but see for your career, because as you can see, people, we watched this interview after we're done with LABRFF. We wanted to know a little background as far as you, like who inspires you, like, for example, I'm a TV host and a reporter, so I can tell you my favorite ones. I always have my favorite people that I look after, people that are my role models. And I'm sure before you started a long time ago, you said, hey, I want to follow a path of someone like him. As a director, do you have a favorite one? And you say, hey, I love the kind of stuff that he does, and I kind of want to go in that direction.
Yeah, that's a great question. And you know what? It changes and it evolves throughout the years. Because when I was younger, when I made the decision of this is something that I want to do, and I feel like this is going to be who I am. I come from a very small town in West Texas, very little. But from that town, there have been some successful actors that came out of there. And it's a little pocket town. It's called Snyder, Texas. Nobody really knows about it. But it was because of the drama teacher that was there. He had something about the drama department there that inspired people to know that there was world outside of this small town. And so I looked up to there was a guy named Barry Tubb, and there was a guy named Powers Booth, and a guy named Patrick Malone that came out of there. And they were all the 3 actors that came out of this small town that made it. They all had television shows. They all had feature film movies. I mean, Powers Booth was in Tombstone. He was the biggest name that came out of. And so those are the guys that I looked up to. I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it. They can There's only 3,000 people here or 4,000 people here, and they were one of them that made it. I can do it too. So that inspired me. But then as I came out to LA and I started to go through my own journey and my own struggles and my own failures and my own pick myself up and dust myself off experiences. I started to notice, I started to listen to people who, people who are at a level of experience that I wanted to be at. and listen to their stories and understand that they were going through the same thing. So it never became about an individual that I looked up to experience, you know, and the quality of work that they were presenting, you know, and it's all kinds of filmmakers, it's all kinds of independent filmmakers. So there's no one in particular, but, you know, I'm kind of old school, old soul kind of thing. Anthony Hopkins was the one that I was always like, oh man, if I'm like, and to this day, I still say that no one will ever see me truly be great until I get to the later years of Anthony Hopkins. Like once I reach those ages, you know, that age and that experience in life and that roadmap shows up all over this face. That's when you'll finally like see me, like, I think have something to share, like have something deep to go through, you know. So I'm inspired by artists in general, ones that.
Okay, that's good.
It's all, yeah.
Okay, so think about it. All your career, the roles had inspired you.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to pick, but I always think that if I have time to interview people and get to know them better and better, I always want them to look back and think through everything they have gone through, starting from the beginning now, and say, hey, Kevin, you have done so much, but that one role, man, I should have got an Oscar for that.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about an Oscar because it's the most important award that we can give it to someone in film.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, one of your performances in one of the movies or one of the TV shows, this one performance that you just look back, it could be recent, it could be a long time ago. You know, whoever follows your career, they know what have you done and how powerful it was. But for you, Kevin, is that one role that you said, holy moly, if I could go back and be on the set again and do that scene, I would love to do it again. And just to go back there. Do you remember that one scene or that one role that you did that was remarkable for you?
I do actually, and it's going to be something that no one's ever seen, unless you knew me in college, and I think I've said this earlier. I'm pretty sure I did because I say it all the time. Is that I'm trained in the theater.
See,
okay. This was my junior year of college. I had been cast in an MFA project that was directed by a great director out of New York named Michael Bloom. He came into our theater program at the University of Texas in Austin and took over the acting department. And he did a Fyodor Dostoevsky play called The Brothers Karamazov and cast me, an undergrad, as the lead in it. And, and it was that whole experience that I was able to sort of jump into. And it was in that moment, it was in those moments of rehearsal and extreme failure and extreme frustration that got me to a point that when I performed it on stage, it took on its own new life. And it was on my first night on that stage of opening that show and everything just clicking and me going, whoa, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Because it was the most amazing feeling ever. And I
like you had a breakthrough.
I had a breakthrough in my life. I had a breakthrough in my career. Like the whole moment in itself was just poetic. My dad had just died. So I was going through all this turmoil, which related to the character who was shunned by the family, who was the black sheep and going through his own pain. And like all these elements just happened. And it transformed me. And it was in that moment where I was like, wow, this is something that I really can do. And that was a moment that I wish would have been on film, that people could.
That would be fun to watch.
Yeah.
And speaking of theater and film, I know when you are in theater, you have to memorize very long lines. Not only that, you only get to do that once.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot make a mistake because we are all here.
Right.
At least if you are on the set of a film or a TV show, I'm really hoping that you as a director, you cut the actors some slack, let them do times again.
Not me. I'm like, I'm perfect. You have to be perfect too. I'm kidding.
Nah, not you.
No.
I know you now. We have been talking for 30 minutes. You know?
I know.
But anyways, people are watching, people will watch. What is the advice that you give to people, not only theater, because, you know, people who does theater, I'm sure they are kind of like ready. I know I'm going to have that one chance and I have to study before and be perfect for those people that are watching me. But people that are going to the set, they have, you know, the script prior time, they can study. What are the tips that you can give to memorize long lines? I even want to hear that, because if I ever do a test to be an actress, I have no idea what to do because I'm so used to improvising everything
Yeah.
that I feel like, oh, I hate directors that make me memorize lines, things like that.
Well, you know what? Because of the theater and because of my experience of the type of stuff that I've done, I was trained to have the utmost respect for the words that are on the page. So I always actually try to memorize every word that's on the page, unless for some reason, and I always do that. But if I have a question about it in the film and television world, I will say exactly what you have written, but I will ask permission to say something in a way that makes it more relatable to the way I speak.
Okay.
Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. Say what I've written, but I have respect for that, for the script. So, there isn't a trick. You know, the only trick that works for me personally, I'll tell you what works for me, is I have to find within myself what it is about those words that relates to who I am, that relates to what I have to put an intention behind. And sometimes it's too much work. I mean, I've gotten that note from directors like, man, you're so heady. Why are you thinking about everything? Just fucking do it. Just do it. Just say it. And, you know, and for me, sometimes I can't just say it. Sometimes I have to be like, why am I saying the word thank? Why am I saying the word you for joining us? Thank you. Know, if that's hard for me to say, I have to understand why I'm saying each individual word, and that's what helps me memorize.
It's like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but I get off. If I don't do that, then I fail. You know what I mean? Like, but that's my process. I have to work harder than most people. Some people are just great.
Some people they're just easy to memorize lines. So,
yeah.
So for example,
but it's a muscle though, Giselle, before you go further, it's a muscle though. The longer you do it, the more, like, you know, I'm on the show now, right? I know him. I know Detective Douche so inside and out that I can memorize. I can look at the script two times and have it memorized because I know who he is. But it's a muscle, you know, it's a muscle because, you know, the first couple of days, the first week, first episode, whatever, it's like, oh, wow, I'm dusting off the cobwebs. But after that, it's like, oh, yeah, of course he'd say that. Oh, yeah, I know exactly why he'd say that.
So you don't really have to, okay, you leave the set today, you have to be tomorrow morning there. Do they give you any time to memorize those lines at all? Or do you just have to be ready the next day?
You have to be ready the next day. You have to be ready the next day. But they do give you the script in time. And if you do it the way I do it, I still go back to my old roots and I do it like a play. So I memorize all my lines when you give me the script. I memorize all of them like I do a play, and that way, if they give me any changes, I change it. I can change it easily. I don't go night to night. I don't go like, oh, tomorrow my words are these. It's like, no, I already memorized these on day 2 that you gave me the script, so I know the whole script.
Well, that reminds me of a very weird story that I have. That I said, hey, people kept on telling Giselle, you're host, reporter, you should do acting. I hate when people say that because they always think that because you're a host or reporter, you should be acting. And I don't know if they tell you the same thing. Hey, Kevin, you're an actor, you're charming, you look good. You should totally be a TV host. You should direct, you should produce. I don't know if it works like that with you. But then in my case, I decide to hear most of everyone and say, hey, you know what? I'm in America. I'm gonna do the extension course at UCLA. You know, it's one of the best, and why not?
Mm-hmm.
And then I came, Giselle, the host reporter, right, to the acting class. This is gonna be a cake. It's gonna be... Can you imagine what happened? But it's this teacher Jack, very serious guy, all about the lines, all about the book. Hey, you guys gonna get chapter 1, you're going to memorize those lines and you're going to do with your group of people. So rehearse and do this and that. And I'm like, piece of cake. You know, I can do it. And then, so I decided to do my own version of it. like you said, you would never do that because you respect the script.
Mhm.
And then I'm not an actress, so I don't have an acting background. So I just decided to bring like my spiciness of being a Brazilian plus working on TV and decide to do my own version of the pages.
Mhm. Mhm.
She looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Stick with the whole thing. And if you want to be an actress, go study and come back and present it what I ask you in front of the whole class."
Oof.
So that was a highlight of my acting career. I don't think I
Yeah.
tried.
That's a lot. That's a lot to
Yeah.
do with.
Well, the thing is, like I said, that's why I asked you about the memorizing thing. Everyone that was there was 100% committed to acting,
Mhm.
and I wanted to check it out.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that by wanting to check it out, I had to commit that much. And that's the thing about acting. You guys are so committed.
You have
You know, committed. Yeah, right?
you have to be. Without commitment, there's no real choice. And, you know, and acting is about making a choice. And it's not just about making a choice to do something, it's about making the choice to react to something. And those are two different things. It's like, I'm not making a choice to tell you something, I'm making a choice to react to what you're telling me. You know, and with that comes full commitment, even if it's wrong. If you commit, there is no wrong. It's just different. You know,
Absolutely.
and that's the thing with acting. If you can very easily see when someone isn't committing because you don't believe them.
And he said that you're not committed. And I told in front of the class, hey, I've learned my lesson. I'm not committed. I didn't study like everyone else did. I thought I could get away with it just because I thought it would kind of look better and things like that. But you know, that was really good for me to learn my lesson. If I ever do it again,
You'll know.
I would totally.
You'll know to
Yeah.
go into. You know, and you know what? You're not the only one, Giselle, that's gone through that. You know, this the whole Brothers Karamazov experience that I was telling you about on the play with the moment that changed me. I went through the same thing with that director. You know, he cast me as because he saw something, but he cast me. I wasn't supposed to be cast. It was somebody else. It was supposed to be an MFA show. I was an undergrad, but he did that. And I can remember one night where there was one moment where I just couldn't get it. He kept telling me, go further, go do this. And we're in the middle of it. And then he literally stood up, had his papers in his hands and threw them in the air and said, I thought you could fucking act. I was wrong. And he turned around and left the theater. And I was like, devastated. But I guarantee you, I'm the type of actor who responded. That could have shut me down. That could have made me quit, but it didn't. It just made me fight harder. And the next time it came, when I went home that night, oof, you know, I was devastated. But I, you know, for some
made you better. You
clicked.
said, okay.
Yeah,
right?
but any other person, it would have made them quit. I'm not saying that was the right way to do it, but what I'm saying is you're not the only actor to go through that. So if you know, those are tactics to make you do exactly what you did, which was think about it and saying, if I do it again, I know I have to commit more.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily agree with the approach that he did it. He exposed me for the whole class, like you were exposed as well. But I think that's how a lot of people do that in Hollywood. You know, they're in positions that they feel like they can do that, and who knows, they have the power to do that. Definitely made me feel very bad for many weeks in front of everyone, but also at the same time, there was a positive side of it. I said, hey, if I really want to be an actress, I've got to commit 100%. And I have to study. I would never put myself in that position again. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's a great insight there. For me, I have a list of few things that you have done, and I'm not gonna get much longer with this, but as a curiosity, being in many sets in Hollywood, like Lucifer, not as a director, but actor, True Blood, Arrow, Southland, Ugly Betty, and starring with a lot of people, do you see like these projects like, oh my God, I remember when I did Arrow, I really loved that much, but True Blood, that I didn't get to wear much clothes and stuff, things like that. Lucifer, Southland, Ugly Betty, they are all kind of different. Do you have a genre that you kind of like to lean more towards to? Like, okay, I really feel like drama is my thing. No, no, no. I really like comedy with sarcasm. No, I like more science fiction. No, I mean, do you have a type of style that you like more? Like, I really like to be an evil guy. No, I like to be a good guy. So, do you have something that you feel more comfortable playing? Or you like, Giselle, listen, you give me the script, I will just be that character and that's it. I'm sure you can do that. But we
Well,
all have
if you give me the script, I will do my best to do the best I possibly can with whatever you give me. But yes, I do have a favorite. I do have where I think where my comfort zone is and where I think I prosper really well would be in the world of drama. I love drama. I love drama, and I love playing bad guys, which I haven't done in a long time. And I'd love to go back to exploring
that. I think you'd be a good bad guy.
I have a lot of fun playing bad guys, and I think I'm a good bad guy because I think there's a little bit of a bad guy in me that I keep hidden away.
What haven't you played that you would like to play?
I would love to play Macbeth, the titular character of Macbeth, either in a play or in a film. But I love what I do, right? And I'm very lucky that I get to. I've gotten the opportunity to explore my comedic side, which was something that for the longest time when I got into the industry, because I was so heavy into the drama and I really just related to that world, that I would get real notes like from yeah, exactly. But I would get real notes from casting directors to my agent or my manager saying, he's just not funny. He's not a funny guy. We're not going to cast him. He has no choice. He's not funny. He's not funny. And so for the longest time, I kept getting into my head of like, why are you sitting me on a comedy? I'm not funny. I'm not funny. I'm not funny. And then somehow something clicked. And I think it's just me getting those words out of my head that now the majority of the things I'm doing have a comedic aspect to it. You know, and I'm having to struggle to get back to my dramatic side right now. You know, but it's funny, you know, that being said of like what the perception that you know, first of all, certain times of your life give you, but certain aspects of Hollywood give you, right? Like he's not funny. He's not Mexican.
They label you. They label you. Yeah.
Yeah, they label you. You know, and sometimes it gets to the point where you believe those labels. So if there's any advice I can give you, is just, or give anyone who wants to do what they do, is don't try to shut off the noise. Unless it's good noise, unless it's something that you can learn from, not something that's going to put a lid or a cap over what you can do, can completely diminish you to this size when really you're this, you know?
You got to control this, right?
Yeah. So
can I surprise you with the question that you're not expecting so we can end this interview? And I don't know if you're going to do it.
Oh, no.
I want to ask you, just because you sold yourself out for me. So you said you can memorize anything and very easily. So I need you to just do a line or two for me of a role or a character, something that it really marked you, really stand out for you. But it can be something you played, but I want you to do it here for me in the interview so I can get you doing not on TV, but here. I don't take no as answers.
Okay.
But come closer. I want to see you. Ready? What's gonna be? First few mean.
Okay. This is from William Shakespeare. You ready?
All right.
Is this a dagger which I see before me? The handle toward my hand. Come, let me clutch thee. Thou art but a dagger of the mind, a false creation.
That's it. That's it. All of a sudden, I feel stupid.
Really good. I loved it.
Cool. People liked it. Oh, Kevin, this is a great way of ending an interview. Really. It would make me even happier if you took production to Brazil at some point and just make a movie there.
I would be 100% honored to be part of that. I would love that.
Yeah, and you are part of the Brazilian family now. You know that, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for this interview. And that's how we're going to end our interviews today. We are behind the scenes here on camera at the Filmocracy LABRFF 2020. Kevin Alejandro, Adult Night, short movie. We are blessed to have you at the panel, at the interview, at the red carpet. And we couldn't be happier, Kevin. Really.
Thank you so much, Giselle. It was a true honor. Thank you.
All right. And thank Leslie for us too. Okay.
I will. Thank you, my friends. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for letting us be part of this incredible evening.
All right. Mwah. Kisses, kisses.
Mwah.
And as soon as I have access to the interview, I'm going to send a link to you so you can watch your own Shakespeare performance.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm sweating because of that.
Oh, okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.